The hidden costs of electric cars. Electric cars are becoming more popular as people look for greener and cheaper transportation options. But are they really as environmentally friendly as they seem? And do they really cost less? In this video, we'll explore 7 hidden costs of electric cars with shocking real-world examples. While electric cars may not emit greenhouse gases directly, there are hidden environmental and manufacturing costs associated with them. Let's start with the least to the most concerning costs of electric vehicles. Number 1. Emissions from electricity generation. We all know that electricity is cheaper than gasoline, and there are renewable ways of generating electricity. But did you know that electricity generation in most parts of the world is still an environmental disaster? Electric cars are only as green as the electricity used to charge them. In regions where electricity is generated from fossil fuels, electric cars are nothing better than gas-powered cars. For example, in China, which is a major producer of electric cars, around 60% of the country's electricity comes from coal-fired power plants. This means that electric cars in China produce significant greenhouse gas emissions, even if they emit nothing from the tailpipe. You must be thinking, but there are greener ways of producing electricity, such as hydropower. But there have been numerous studies that prove how dams not only damage the agriculture and soil of the land, but also displace entire communities. If you are familiar with colonialism, then you must know that dams can be a big bone of contention among people. It even leads to conflicts, political chaos, and mostly disparity between classes. Number 2. Infrastructure costs. One of the main challenges of electric cars is the need for charging infrastructure. Building charging stations and upgrading the electrical grid to support widespread use of electric cars can be costly, and those costs are often passed on to consumers. According to a report by the International Energy Agency, or IEA, achieving a sustainable future with electric cars will require significant investment in charging infrastructure. The report estimates that the global EV charging infrastructure investment needed to support an all-EV passenger car fleet could be as high as $2.7 trillion by 2040. Number 3. Disposal and recycling of batteries. Electric car batteries can contain toxic materials that can harm the environment and human health if they are not disposed of or recycled properly. For example, in the United States, there are concerns about the environmental impact of the disposal of electric car batteries. According to the Department of Energy, recycling electric car batteries could help to reduce the environmental impact of battery production, but the infrastructure to do so is not yet fully developed. Over time, the performance of electric car batteries can degrade, leading to reduced range and a shorter overall lifespan for the vehicle. Replacing the battery can be expensive and may not be covered by the vehicle's warranty. The battery degradation rate is different for different vehicles, although the average degradation is claimed to be at 2.3% per year, but it can even be up to 20 to 40% over the warranty period. For example, according to the 2017 Chevrolet Bolt EVs manual, depending on use, the battery may degrade as little as 10% to as much as 40% of capacity over the warranty period. Number 4. Impact on local communities. The production of electric cars can have an impact on local communities and natural environment. For example, in Germany, where many electric cars are produced, there have been concerns about the environmental impact of mining the raw materials needed for electric car batteries. There have also been protests against the construction of a new electric car battery factory in the country, with concerns about air and water pollution. Number 5. Limited range. While electric cars have come a long way in terms of range, they still can't match the range of gas-powered cars. For some drivers, the limited range of electric cars may be a deal breaker, especially if they frequently travel long distances. A study by the American Automobile Association found that range anxiety, the fear of running out of charge before reaching a destination or charging point, is still a significant barrier to adoption of electric cars. This gets worse in high temperatures. AAA studies say that the range lost is 40% higher if you drive in 75 degrees Fahrenheit as compared to 20 degrees. This means that people in hot climatic conditions will find it even more costly to drive EVs. Number 6. Manufacturing emissions. While electric cars don't produce emissions on the go, the manufacturing process for electric cars can still produce significant emissions. Furthermore, the raw materials used in making electric cars are really expensive. To make the issue even worse, the pandemic has increased the prices of EV raw materials up by 144% since 2020. Just a few years ago, everyone was saying that electric cars would soon be just as affordable as gas guzzlers. And it made total sense to switch over considering how much money you'd save on fuel and maintenance. But here's the thing. The prices of materials like lithium, which is a key ingredient in making batteries, have gone through the roof. And that's why the average cost of an electric car went up by a whopping 14% last year, to a staggering $66,000. That's 20 grand more than your average gas car, which is about $32,000, and a full-sized car is $44,000, according to Kelley Blue Book. I know now you're thinking that it will become cheaper when industry will manufacture on a larger scale. Well, this is also where demand and supply comes in. People really want electric cars these days, which is great. But the demand is so high that some models, like the Ford Mach-E, are completely sold out, and others have waiting lists that are miles long. Even Tesla's website is telling customers that if they want to buy a Model Y for $66,000, they won't be able to get it until months later. With such high demand, manufacturers' last concern is making things affordable. Number 7. The dark side of battery production. The batteries used in electric cars require the extraction and processing of raw materials, which can have a significant environmental impact. For example, the production of lithium-ion batteries for electric cars has been linked to water pollution and depletion in regions where they are mined. Did you know that mining activities in Chile's Salar de Atacama have consumed a whopping 65% of the water, causing groundwater depletion and soil contamination? It's really sad to hear that local communities have been forced to abandon their ancestral homes due to this environmental degradation. And that's not all. As for the demand for lithium increases, it's only going to get worse. With production coming from deeper rock mines and brines, the challenges of mitigating environmental risk will only increase. Also, did you hear about the situation in the Democratic Republic of the Congo? Almost half of the world's cobalt reserves are there, and over 2/3 of global production of the mineral comes from that country. But get this, around 40,000 children work in extremely dangerous conditions in artisanal mines, where the dust from excavation can contain toxic metals that are linked to health problems like respiratory diseases and birth defects. It falls upon all of us to think about the living conditions of these children instead of just being consumers. And if that wasn't bad enough, cobalt mine sites may contain sulfur minerals that can generate sulfuric acid when exposed to air and water, causing acid mine drainage that can devastate rivers, streams, and aquatic life for hundreds of years. The same goes for graphite mining, which can release dust and fine particles into the air and contaminate nearby communities and soil. As the demand for these batteries rises, the conditions in which these people in mining regions live will only get more hellish. Although a few organizations are considering these risks, the larger capitalist industry has not shown any regard. A sustainable future must also be an inclusive future, don't you think? While electric cars offer some environmental benefits, there are hidden costs associated with them. From battery production to disposal, the production of electricity to power them, and the environmental impact on local communities. It is important for consumers to be aware of these costs and to work towards mitigating them. Electric cars are not a panacea, but with proper oversight, development, and infrastructure investment, they can become a part of a sustainable future. Make sure you review all of the costs of electric cars before deciding whether to buy one. It's essential to evaluate the environmental and social impact of electric cars as part of a larger effort to transition to a more sustainable transportation system.